When a lot of people hear the word karma, they tend to think of it as something that you either believe in or don't believe in. But we can look at karma as just something that we see the evidence for everywhere around us. When we view karma through this lens of cause and effect, through this notion that nothing can be buried forever, every little thing leaves an impact, and that impact creates an impact. It's like throwing a rock in a lake, and it will create ripples. And if it collides with another ripple, it'll create a new pattern of ripples. And when we start to see the universe as this karmic soup that we're living in, everything bumping into each other, and then that bumping into something else, is the way our solar system and universe, the atoms bouncing around on a molecular level, everything works. It is that law of physics of cause and effect. And when we see this, everything begins to make sense, and there is nothing to believe or disbelieve. When we stuff an emotion down or a thought that we don't like, and we try to live in denial, that will still exist in our subconscious, and it will affect our lives. Often it shows up as that subtle discontent that we turn to an addiction to bring us relief, or it turns into a chronic pain or an illness. It can turn into mentally being unwell, and it can even turn into us accidentally lashing out, losing our temper, and taking that negative feeling that we were trying to stuff down, but unconsciously unleashing it on often a friend or a loved one. And this is the danger of when we do not heal ourselves, take care of ourselves, pay attention to what is going on, doing that inner work, and instead avoiding it, distracting ourselves, and losing ourselves in often unhealthy behaviors and activities. So in this sense, karma becomes a very useful symbol or metaphor for recognizing not just what our actions' consequences will be, but what the consequences of other people's actions will be. And we will pay extra attention to what karma we are accumulating, what we are creating for ourselves and in our lives, and take responsibility to cleanse that karma so that we are not creating negative karma for our most loved people in our lives. Welcome to Path to Peace with Todd Perlmutter. I'm your host, Todd Perlmutter. Our world is a projection of our collective consciousness. The more peace we bring into our lives, the more peace we bring into this world. So let the transformation begin. We are often not responsible for the karma that other people give to us. We don't ask for trouble. We didn't ask to be born where we were to who we were. I've never met a baby who I thought was asking for trouble. Maybe in their terrible twos, but not when they were an infant and newly born. And so even though we are not responsible for the negative karma that is dumped in our laps, we do have a responsibility to cleanse that karma. And it doesn't just benefit others. That is the self-healing work that benefits ourselves. We see all the time, someone has a bad day. They go out drinking at a bar. They get into a fight. They win or they lose, but either way, the cops come or their night is ruined. And so we need healthy ways to heal ourselves, to shake off that ripple of negativity that found its way to us. This world has enough negative karma in it. We have a lot of global cleaning to do, and it starts with ourselves and not passing that on. We live in a world right now where it feels like everyone has been wronged and everyone's wronging. Of course, that's not the case, but that's what we see in the news. Those are the stories that get pushed to us. And we see those stories, and we may have a subtle level of stress, and we may stuff it down and say it doesn't affect me. And then we treat others based on all of the content and experiences we've had in our lives. We may be able to shove a negative experience out of our conscious mind, but the subconscious keeps the score. It remembers everything. And we either deal with that stuff on a conscious level, or it will deal with us on an unconscious level. And it's much better to heal with positivity. That is the antidote to this negative karma that we don't want in our lives. And we cleanse that karma through two ways: outer work and inner work. The outer work is often easier. It doesn't require so much digging deep and looking at what we're afraid of, but we really have to do both. A bird needs two wings to fly. And that outer work is a great place to start because it is often what can give us that strength to then turn inwards. And that involves things like good deeds, compassion, selfless service to others. This truly transforms us. We cannot hold a grudge while we are helping someone else. We cannot think negatively while we are expressing love to someone else with our full being, without any expectations in return. We don't cleanse the karma in hopes of good karma. That is still selfish. I mean, it can be one motivation. It certainly makes us feel good, and it certainly does create positive connections and relationships, and it makes our lives worth living, and it's so fulfilling. But I have to put that word selfless service. It has to be selfless, because when there's no self, a moment of selflessness is a moment that we are unwinding that negative karma that came into ourselves. It can be changed to a person on the sidewalk. It can be volunteering. It can be holding the door open. It can be talking to someone on the sidewalk. It does not have to be monetary. It simply has to be brightening someone else's day, trying to help transform someone who needs a hand. And that is enough to put this karmic principle into practice, which immediately brings us our own good karma. And it is in that good feeling. It does come in that feeling of love, which is the greatest feeling there is. And so if we have done something to someone else that we regret, that we feel bad about, we weren't as kind as we could have been, should have been, and wish we were, or if something negative happened to us and it just put us in a sunken mood, doing this selfless service, Habitat for Humanity, I mean, the opportunities are endless. Taking those old clothes to the Goodwill can immediately make us feel better about ourselves. And we are not likely to keep feeling bad and keep being unable to show up for the loved ones in our lives. Other examples of outer work that we can do that can just shake some of that negative, dour mindset from us is to move our bodies, do some yoga, calm the body, calm the mind, go for a jog, all of these things that are scientifically proven to boost all those happiness chemicals in our body. A walk through nature, getting some fresh air and sunshine, all of these wonderful things that are not unhealthy, like smoking or drinking, eating our favorite junk food, but that will actually make us happy in the long run, not just for a moment, and then we go back to craving and stress and anxiety. And then once we've cleared our head a little bit, the second thing that is the really powerful practice is the inner work. This is that self-psychology that no one else can do, because no one else can tap in to our own subconscious. No one else can get that direct pipeline to our brain. And when we journey inwards, like a metaphorical surgeon operating on our brain, we can get to the root of this karma, and we can find that darkness, and we can shine that light of consciousness onto it. And that is the disinfectant that will heal whatever we are going through, whatever is weighing on our mind, whether we did something or someone did something to us. Either way, we are hurting, and this is the path to healing. And as one of my gurus in India told me, meditation is the only activity and action that we can take that acquires no karma, because it is the action of non-action. There is no other activity in the world that involves sitting there with your eyes closed, incapable of accumulating any new karma, good or bad. And because meditation, at its deepest, truest, purest form, is about making ourselves better so that we can be better husbands, wives, moms, dads, kids, siblings, coworkers, and friends. It automatically washes our karma like jumping for a swim in the Ganges River, which, if you are unfamiliar, is the holy river in India that is believed to cleanse us of all karma, and that many Hindus take a pilgrimage to at least once in their lives in order to free themselves from their past karma. And so when we're meditating, that negativity will be there. We'll have those negative thoughts. They'll bubble to the surface. And we just sit in meditation. We don't act. We don't plot revenge. We just witness. And this is the practice of creating that non-reaction. It's not violating the laws of karma, because we are counteracting that karma. And at first, those thoughts may really get our blood boiling, and we'll be fuming for the first 5 or 10 minutes. But we just let it go. It comes again, and we get a little less upset. Comes again, and we have almost no reaction eventually. And that is when we've washed off that karma, and we will no longer pass it on to someone else, who will then pass it on to someone else, and someone else, and someone else. Now, a lot of people will have an initial response when they hear about karma, and they'll say, oh yeah, well, then why are so many evil people so powerful, so wealthy? And the answer to that is that money is not what good karma means. When you have done cruel acts in order to acquire wealth or fame or power, every time you do that, you have to kill that compassion inside of yourself. Just a little bit each time. And it is death by 1,000 cuts. And it is just destroying the potential to discover that deepest joy that is possible, which comes from inner peace and love. I've seen so many incredibly wealthy people who are tired and bored of luxury, and they are depressed and on medication, and the greatest thrills that most of us could ever imagine, the initial happiness that it brought has worn off, and they are left to suffer more than the rest of us because only they realize that there is nothing that can fill that void, that hole in their heart. Every action has a reaction. And so every time we sacrifice our lasting joy for some short-term gain, we pay a price. And we cannot measure other people's lives because we do not see what is going on in their mind. And people can put on a powerful, friendly face, but the most happy-seeming people are often the ones suffering the most. And often that drive is masking an inferiority, some feeling of inadequacy. This isn't to say that there's no happy, successful people. There's plenty. Many people appreciate the hard work they've put in, where they've come from and where they are now. And they see their wealth as having given value to society. And they see their wealth as how they can give back and create even more joy. And it's often the people who don't put out a press release about their charity work. And that is also a byproduct of karma. Many times when we are focused on giving and creating value for others, wealth is a side effect. Often the more good we can do for others, the more everyone benefits, including ourselves. That is just the nature of karma. And those are people who are by nature doing good deeds, doing good works, and often have a strong sense of their spiritual self. And discovering that spiritual self is so important. And I go into great detail about how we can discover that spiritual core of who we are in each and every one of us. In one of my latest books, Finding Your True Self, A Love Story, which I am so happy to announce that after several hours in recording, the audiobook has just launched. It is available on Audible and Amazon. And it was such a fun, long labor of love. And even while recording it, I was remembering other stories and lessons I had learned on my spiritual journey that I threw in the audiobook that aren't even in the paperback. So even if you got the paperback, check out the audiobook. And it is all about how we can free ourselves of karma, the conditioning of our lives, so that we are not a slave to whatever situation we find ourselves in, but we can cleanse that conditioning and live a life free from our circumstances, free from our thoughts and impulses, and most importantly, free from our past, because we all have a past. And it is pretty much universally going to have difficult moments that we cannot seem to shake, that we cannot let go of, that we keep having triggered, and it keeps coming up in our mind and ruining this perfect, peaceful, present moment. We waste so much time worrying about the future, getting upset about the past, and we always miss this one moment where life happens. Life is not about reaching some goal or achievement, having $100 million, traveling to every country in the world, living to 120, and dying peacefully in our sleep. It is about sucking the joy out of every single moment and cherishing it, honoring it, enjoying the conversations with the people we're with as much as we possibly can, through good times and bad times, through pain and sorrow, health and sickness. As you may be able to tell, I've got a little cold right now, and I just didn't mind. The body, not so happy. The mind, loving every second of it. And we can all do this. We can all embrace this perfect moment, no matter what is going on. Only humans get depressed and worried and wonder, what is their purpose? What is the meaning of life? And who am I? Why am I here? But a butterfly doesn't wish to be anything else. It doesn't wish to achieve some goal. It doesn't wonder why it's here. It just loves being a butterfly. That is its purpose: to fly, to be beautiful, to kiss every flower it can find. Every animal is here for the same reason, just because it's awesome to be here. Only humans complicated it with this collection of karma. But when we do that inner work and outer work, and when we follow those lessons I lay out in Finding Your True Self, we can all get back to our true nature. We are not less fortunate than the entire animal kingdom. We are wiser. We are smarter. We have more potential to change than any other species on this planet. And this is the path forward. For ourselves, for our species, for our planet, for our loved ones. And it's the only way to heal. We are all healers, and we are all self-healers. When we get a scratch or a cut, we don't even have to do anything. It just heals automatically and magically. We have self-healing machines. We have self-healing minds. We just, like a cut, have to keep it clean and let this infinite wisdom of the universe take care of the rest. Much love. You have been listening to Path to Peace with Todd Perlmutter. Being here and putting in this important and noble work is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself and others. If you found this podcast even a little helpful, please make sure to leave a review so it can reach others who may be in need. And remember, the path to peace starts with a single step.